Hi, Simran. My name is Ellen, and I'll be correcting this essay for you. Let's see. You've got some questions. Let's see. Mostly writing a couple of times. Okay, so you've taken IELTS before. I know you wrote in your email that your exam is tomorrow, so I hope this gets to you in time. Let's take a look at what you wrote here. This is the essay about ex-prisoners. So let's see what you said, okay? People who have been in a prison for a long period of time tend to possess good habits once they come out of it. Many people believe that these individuals are great for the youth community, acting as their role models who can make them realize the detrimental effects of crime, while others argue that this is not a right approach to handle the youngsters. In my opinion, these people can have a significant positive impact on the teenagers. Okay. The first sentence was good. The third sentence was good. I wouldn't have put the teenagers. There's a difference in meaning, or actually, there's a difference in use when we say the teenagers versus teenagers. In general, it's a good idea to be careful with using the in front of plurals, like in front of like this with the S. So you have to be really careful. You have to be very deliberate about how you do this because there's very specific instances when we put the in front of these words. Here it didn't really quite fit. So I would have just said a positive impact on teenagers. And the same thing here, handle youngsters, exactly the same thing. But this sentence for me was a little more problematic. Primarily because of the grammar. You tried to do some complex things here. They didn't really quite work out for you. There were some errors. It was a little awkward. So I think you could have simplified this and made it more accurate. So many people believe that these individuals are great for the young as they act as role models who can make them realize the detrimental effects of crime. And I would have stopped there, and then I would have made this another sentence. And instead of saying while, I would have said, however, others argue that this is not the right approach to handle youngsters. Okay, so by breaking this sentence apart and just correcting some of the errors, it's a much, much better sentence. And then the rest of it is fine. Okay. Actually, one other thing. I don't think in your email you mentioned as the score you need. You wrote here, in my opinion, these people can have a significant positive impact. I want you to take a look at the question. You didn't actually post it here, but take a look at the question again, and you'll see it's not whether these people have a positive impact or not. Instead, the question is asking you something far more specific. It's saying, are they the best people to educate young people about crime? Okay, so it's really quite different. All right. There's like a sense of comparison here. And so you have to be really, really very careful with these words in the IELTS essay and the IELTS test. So they're asking you, are they the best people? You didn't really answer that. You just said that they're significantly positive. So that doesn't tell us whether they are the best or not. When you fail to answer the question the way it's been posed, you're pretty much guaranteed, well, it's going to be very difficult to get into one of those top 2 or 3 band scores for task achievement, okay? So just be aware of that because you're not entirely answering the question. All right, let's move on. So people who come out of a prison after being punished for the crime they committed in the past have a clear mind and a positive approach towards their life ahead. They focus on how they can wash out all the sins they committed and consequently be an influencer. This perspective can not only initiate motivational and generous values in the youth community, but also can influence them to do better for the world, as the consequences of committing a crime in today's world will be regretful. All right, let's talk about this. I didn't really care for this vocabulary here, only initiate motivational and generous values in the youth community. All of it really felt rather awkward. Apart from that, though, this and then what you wrote right after that, I felt like this was all really unsupported you have these ideas, but you just kind of present the ideas and never do anything to support them. There's no analysis, there's no extension. So we really don't have, okay, 283 words. We really don't have a clear idea of what any of this means. So you say that they can initiate motivational and generous values. I didn't understand what that meant, but you didn't explain it either. You never said, for example, young people can learn XYZ from former prisoners, and this is very helpful. This is very wonderful for whatever reason. Okay. And then you say they can influence them to do better for the world. Really? How? Why? What proof do you have? How can you show this to us? How can you provide some sort of evidence? Okay. So that was missing for me. All right, let's move on. In contrast to the above, some people, comma, especially parents of these teenagers, comma, think negatively about the people who come out of, come out, who come out a prisoner. I don't think you mean that. I think you mean who come out of prison. No matter how much their values and beliefs have changed, they would still think that this would have a negative impact on the growing community. In addition to this, from a broad perspective, these people will not be accepted in society due to a bad reputation along with their history. Okay, I don't really believe 100% that this paragraph is effective the way it's written. Let me tell you why. Again, you didn't put the task up here. It's really helpful if you can, if you tell us what the question is. The reason why I say it's not effective is because if I remember correctly, this doesn't ask you to discuss both sides of the essay. It's only asking you to what extent do you agree or disagree. So presenting this opposite side doesn't really help us because it's not your opinion, it's the opinion of other people. And nowhere does the essay actually ask you for the opinion of other people. Okay? If this were an essay where it said discuss both views and give your opinion, yeah, that would have been okay. But if I remember correctly, it does not. It's simply saying to what extent do you agree or disagree. Therefore, an examiner is going to see this and think that this is all really rather irrelevant. What you could have done is you could have expressed this as part of your opinion. So you could have said something like, admittedly, there are some concerns, there are some valid concerns regarding people who come out of prison, no matter how much their values and beliefs have changed. It is fair to believe that they may have a negative impact on the growing community. In addition to this, etc., etc., etc. So this way, you're expressing all of this as your opinion, all right? Because as I said, it's to what extent do you agree or disagree? So that's the first thing, okay, to make this relevant. But apart from that, again, I really do feel like this needed to be developed a little more. Let's see. And then I'm going to come back to what I told you in the beginning. This is about whether they are the best people. All right. So there's this implied comparison. Here you were telling us how wonderful they are. And then here you're telling us, well, yeah, there's some problems with this. Okay. The other thing I would have done is I would have put this first and then I would have put this second. Okay. Because this is actually the weaker of the two paragraphs. This is the paragraph you don't support. You're putting it out there as a concession paragraph to show that you've thought of both sides of the argument, but essentially this is the side you don't really believe in. So this should come first, and then we put the stronger side second. That's a much better way of organizing this kind of an essay. All right, I want to say a couple more things about this, but let's read your conclusion first. In conclusion, even though these people, without that, hold on, even though these people who come out of a prison are not seen as a strong influence in the community, they're capable of instilling valuable characteristics in the growing youth, so they make this world a better place to live in. Okay. So even here, you didn't mention this idea of being the best people. And so we're left kind of wondering here with having a big question, are they or are they not the best people? We know you think they're good, but we don't know if they are in fact the best. And so this kind of omission is going to keep it from getting into one of those top scores. All right, in terms of task achievement. I still am not convinced that this was entirely relevant. I almost felt like you were treating this as a different kind of an essay. Like, for example, it felt like you were asking, some people believe that um, prisoners are, can, ex-prisoners can help young people avoid a life of crime. Discuss both views and give your opinion. Or, yeah, basically, while other people think they don't, discuss both views and give your opinion. That's kind of what I felt you were answering here, which, as I said before, is not what the question was. Um, this particularly for me did not feel relevant in this essay. I would have liked to see this redone. So, what would have been relevant is if you had talked about maybe other people who are better than ex prisoners to persuade young people against crime. That would have been good. So, you could have started out with something like this, and then you could have said that, however important ex criminals are in influencing young people, um, there are others who are more influential and can have a stronger impact on the young people. And then you can talk about who you think they are. Maybe they're other policemen, maybe they're friends, maybe they're parents, maybe they're teachers. Okay. So you could talk about a couple of them and say why you think they are a more important influence. Okay. So that would have been a good way to do this. All right. So I know your exam is tomorrow. I saw some nice grammar and some errors. I saw some good vocabulary and some errors. So, you didn't tell us what score you need. I want you to focus on what I talked about in terms of task achievement. This is going to be really important. So make sure you absolutely are answering just the question as it's written and not something kind of, related to it on the side. This is really important. And I'm sure you're going to do very well, but definitely let us know how you did and if the feedback today helped you. And if for whatever reason you need our help in the future, please let us know. We'd be happy to assist you. And I want to wish you tons of luck tomorrow. Good luck.